BeakerBeat.
It's Monday, October 31st, 2011, and this week's BeakerBeat, a new recommendation for an old vaccine. But is it too scary for parents to give to their kids? Plus, it's Halloween, and we scare up some info from industry CEOs. More on that. And is Halloween candy considered a drug? Well, the FDA has issued a warning about the sweet stuff. Find out why. All that and more in this week's edition of BeakerBeat, brought to you by Life Technologies. To learn more about Life Technologies, visit their company webpage on Beaker.com. Hello everyone, welcome to this week's edition of BeakerBeat. I'm Mike Justice. I'm the king, baby. I'm a hunk of bird in love, as you can see. Got my cape on and ready to go trick-or-treating. I am kind of a hound dog when it comes to getting candy. Anyway, we can't go on with suspicious minds, but here's this week's top story. A vaccine recommended for teenage girls since 2006 is now also recommended for young boys. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices of the CDC has recommended that boys 11 and older receive Merck's HPV shot Gardasil. Expanded use of the vaccine will further protect girls from certain types of cancer and has been shown to prevent genital warts along with throat and anal cancers in men. The recommendation by the panel is likely to transform the use of the HPV vaccine, since most private insurers pay for vaccines once the committee recommends them for routine use. However, the HPV vaccine is expensive. Its 3 doses cost pediatricians more than $300, and pediatricians often charge patients hundreds more. That is one reason drug makers have faced resistance, convincing the public that girls should be vaccinated. Plus, some parents fear the shot is unsafe, while others have moral objections to vaccinating their kids against STDs. As a result, only about a third of women between the ages of 13 and 17 have received all 3 doses. Merck will likely face even more resistance trying to convince parents that their sons need the vaccine. For many of them, it will seem unnecessary, as the cancers HPV causes in men, anal and oral cancer, are more common in homosexuals. Still, a CDC recommendation for routine Gardasil use in boys opens up a new and potentially lucrative market for Merck. HPV is the most common STD, affecting up to 80% of all people at some point in their lives. Although most people's immune systems clear the virus without issue, 15,000 women and 7,000 men each year will develop cancer as a result of an HPV infection. So tell us what you think about this story or any story that you see in today's show. Very simple. Click on the orange button below me. A box will pop up. Type in your comment. Send it to me. I promise I'll read and respond to every one of them. The king does want to hear from you. And I got to get out of this thing. Oh, so hot, Jeremy. What is this thing made of? It's all hot rubber. And when you're done watching BeakerBeat, check out Beaker's blog and check out the new global branding campaign from a venerable pharma giant. Will it work? Plus, watch a video on how to be a better executive. It starts with understanding your people. Those stories and more on Beaker's blog. Oh, it's hot in here. I can't see out of this mask. I don't know, what do you think? It's a bohemian Darth Vader, or maybe just Darth Vader that let himself go. Either way, it's really hurting my face. As you know, Beaker recently attended and participated in the world's leading medical technology and diagnostics conference, AdvaMed 2011, the MedTech Conference. We had the unique opportunity to interview several of these CEOs that were there, and here's what they had to say about the FDA and the agency's impact on the industry.
I think there are more timely topics that are affecting our industry right now, again, going back to 510K reform and going back to the medical device user fee authorization and the new program. I think those are things that right now are going to be much more impactful, much more meaningful on the business, both in a very positive way. This is really, I think, a real opportunity for us to take the dialogue and turn it into action that's going to be very positive for the industry. We all know, as I said earlier, what's wrong. We can all talk about how fast it is or how much easier it is to get products approved in Europe versus the U.S. We can talk about all those things, but right now the conversations, the dialogue, and the actions that are going on with the FDA, I think, have an opportunity to fundamentally change our industry for the better.
I think it's especially rings true for small companies. We have a limited amount of financial resources, so when it comes to spending money on a lot of regulatory work that we don't think is necessary or we don't think adds value, it limits what we can do. So we're less innovative overall, and that's not good for patients.
I think right now we're in a risk-averse world, and I think it's easier for them not to make the changes and be strict. And I think industry has to do its part as well in terms of being able to communicate well and provide information. And we need an agency that listens to what industry has to say and comment and be accountable. I think accountability goes both ways. You know, if they're going to give us specific dates and deadlines of when they're supposed to get back to us and they miss it, they should be held accountable. So I think accountability and entitlement or empowerment is what's important in making these changes more effective for everybody.
For more insight from these and other medical device CEOs from AdvaMed 2011, watch the complete interviews on Beaker.com. Occupy Wall Street has gone global and is now including private homes of top-ranking pharma executives. Protesters gathered outside the villa of Novartis chairman Daniel Vasella to protest heavy job cuts planned by the Swiss pharma company. Novartis announced it is slashing 2,000 jobs in Switzerland and the U.S., which could result in annual savings of more than $200 million. Novartis and Roche, which also announced a round of job cuts last year, have stressed their commitment to investing in Switzerland. However, both are outsourcing routine manufacturing and other operations to cheaper locations as they deal with a tough pricing environment and a strong Swiss franc. This has led to employee discontent, and the frustration is now hitting home, specifically Vasella's home. Connecticut is spending $291 million to develop a new 173,000 square foot genetics research institute for Jackson Laboratory on the campus of the University of Connecticut Health Center. In exchange, Jackson Lab is promising to create 300 new biotech jobs over the next 10 years, while some politicians claim nearly 7,000 total jobs will be created. The state hopes its investment will move it to the forefront of personalized medicine. Researchers at the new lab will focus on finding tailored drugs for diseases like Alzheimer's, Down syndrome, and cancer. The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center will turn a former Ford car assembly plant into a $294 million research center. The 350,000 square foot Center for Innovative Science will focus on personalized medicine, cancer biology, and healthy aging. Completion is scheduled for 2014, and the project will create 375 scientific and administrative jobs. According to court documents, a Chinese scientist was stealing trade secrets while he was working for 2 American chemical companies. His goal was to aid the Chinese Communist Party's long-term strategic goals in the science field. He carried out the thefts at both Dow AgroSciences and Cargill, companies involved in biotechnology, chemicals, and agriculture, at which he held positions of responsibility and oversaw research projects. The man pleaded guilty to economic espionage and theft of trade secrets and faces 15 years in prison. AdvaMed has called on legislators to fully enact the healthcare reform law's Physician Payments Sunshine provision, which would mandate that payments made by device firms to doctors and teaching hospitals be reported to HHS. In a letter to HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius, AdvaMed claims that full implementation will protect patients and help restore trust in our healthcare system. The FDA says it has never approved a flu vaccine administered with jet injectors rather than traditional syringes. The warning comes in the wake of ads from Kroger, Rite Aid, and other retailers that promise needleless flu shots this season. 2 jet injector companies, PharmaJet and Biojet Medical Technologies, took issue with the FDA's warning, claiming their devices had been cleared by the agency for the administration of any vaccine. But the FDA says the companies still need to secure approval for the specific delivery method of the flu vaccine. The retailers no longer offer the needle-free injection method. I don't know. Does this costume make me look fat? Definitely makes me look like a monster. Maybe it makes me look too tall. Not sure these feet are going to work. Dangling legs. Good pouch though. Hold some candy. Biogen IDEC has inked a deal with San Francisco-based biotech Portola for $553 million with $45 million up front. Biogen's interest is focused on Portola's early-stage autoimmune programs, with a particular interest in rheumatoid arthritis and lupus. Checking third-quarter earnings now, and Bristol-Myers Squibb topped analysts' third-quarter profit estimates on higher drug sales, primarily thanks to Plavix and Yervoy. Net income rose 2.1% to $969 million, or 56 cents a share, while revenue increased 11% to $5.35 billion. AstraZeneca, the UK's second biggest drug maker, raised its profit forecast after third-quarter net income more than doubled to $3.48 billion. From $1.55 billion a year earlier. It was helped by gains from the sale of its AstraTech dental implant unit. Sales rose 4% to $8.21 billion. Novo Nordisk's new generation diabetes drug Victoza amped up its sales. Novo beat its third-quarter forecast with a massive 121% rise in sales of Victoza. Overall, third-quarter sales hit about $3.1 billion. Whoa, look at those tasty treats. Caramel apples. They look delicious. They look amazing. All for me, Jeremy, none for you. Oh, look at those monsters. Just in time for Halloween, the FDA is out to ruin our sugar-filled fantasies of gorging on candy. The FDA released a statement warning consumers about the dangers of candy, specifically black licorice. Although the warning should really be more for parents than kids. You see, apparently for those over 40, regular amounts of black licorice can lead to an irregular heart rhythm, high blood pressure, or edema. Comically, the Wall Street Journal tells the story of a misfit 71-year-old patient who was using licorice for its laxative effects, only to wind up in the ER. Sounds like a normal Tuesday night for Jeremy. Anyway, if you're wondering what to hand out for Halloween, avoid the black licorice You'll make the FDA and some parents happy. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Beaker Beat. I'm Mike Justice. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have a safe and happy Halloween. Speaking of Halloween, I think I'm going to go as the king. It suits me, and like the king would say, a little less conversation, a little more action. Time to get some candy. Yeah. Elvis has left the building, baby. Sit, Beaker. Sit. Good dog. Yeah, this is what I used to look like in high school. I don't know how I ever got any homework done. Can't see. And it itches. Ah!